Imagine being the best footballer in the world and earning the same wage as a plumber. Imagine your club owning you like property, refusing to let you leave even when your contract expires. Imagine a time when being paid to play football was considered shameful, disgraceful, even immoral. This isn't some dystopian alternate universe. This was football. And the journey from that world to Neymar's €222 million transfer is one of rebellion, exploitation, and a fight for freedom that would change sports forever. This is the hidden history of football transfers. Our story begins in the 1850s in 60 seconds, in the grand halls of England's elite public schools, Eton, Harrow, Cambridge, Oxford. This is where modern football was born, and it was a game for gentlemen, rich young men who played purely for the love of sport and the honor of their school. The Football Association was founded in 1863, and they had one sacred rule above all others: no player shall ever be paid. Taking money to play football was vulgar, working class, beneath the dignity of the game. Football was about character, not cash. If a player moved from one club to another, it was only because he'd moved for work or university or family. There was no transfer market because there was nothing to buy. Players weren't commodities. They were gentlemen. But in the 1880s, something happened that the gentlemen never saw coming. The working class discovered football. In the industrial towns of northern England and Scotland, in places like Preston, Blackburn, Sheffield, factory workers fell in love with the game. They formed their own clubs. They played in their own leagues. And they were good, really good. But here's the problem. These men worked in factories and mines. They couldn't afford to take unpaid time off to play matches. They had families to feed. So the clubs started paying them. Secretly, of course. They'd call it expenses, or give players fake jobs. Scottish players flooded south across the border for these under-the-table payments, becoming football's first transfer controversy. The Football Association was horrified. They banned professionalism outright, but they couldn't enforce it. And more importantly, these professional teams from working-class towns were destroying the gentlemen amateurs on the pitch. The old guard faced a choice: admit defeat and allow professionalism, or watch their games slip away entirely. In 1885, the FA surrendered. Professionalism was legalized. Clubs could officially pay players. Many amateur clubs resigned in protest, disgusted that football had been corrupted by money. But if you think this meant freedom for players, you'd be dead wrong. The moment the FA legalized professionalism, they created a system to control these professional players. It was called retain and transfer, and it was basically football slavery. Here's how it worked. When your contract with a club ended, the club could simply retain your registration. You couldn't play for anyone else, you couldn't negotiate with other teams. If you refused to sign a new contract, you just didn't play. The club owned you. And if a club did want to sell you, you had no say in where you went or what you earned. You were property. With professionalism came something new: transfer fees. Clubs started demanding money from each other when players moved. In 1893, Aston Villa paid £100 for Willie Groves. It was football's first significant transfer fee, and people were outraged. How dare clubs buy and sell human beings like cattle? But it got worse. In 1905, Middlesbrough paid £1,000 for Alf Common. £1,000 for one player! The national press called it obscene. Questions were raised in Parliament, the FA launched investigations. Everyone agreed this couldn't continue, that football had gone mad. But there was nothing illegal about it. The transfer market had been born, and there was no putting that genie back in the bottle. Now here's where it gets really twisted. In 1901, the Football League decided players were earning too much, so they imposed a maximum wage, £4 per week, that's it. Didn't matter if you were the best player in England or a reserve who never played, £4. This lasted for 60 years. By 1961, the maximum wage had only risen to 20 pounds a week. Think about what this meant. Clubs were paying thousands in transfer fees to each other, but the actual players, the ones doing the work, were capped at poverty wages. Stanley Matthews, one of the greatest players who ever lived, earned the same as a skilled tradesman. Players had no power. Clubs had all of it. In 1961, a footballer named Jimmy Hill had had enough. He was chairman of the Players Union, and he threatened something that had never happened before: a players' strike. The Football League blinked. The maximum wage was abolished. Johnny Haynes of Fulham became the first player to earn 100 pounds a week. Once again, the press went ballistic. Once again, people said football was ruined. But something had shifted. Players could finally negotiate their wages. The transfer market now involved not just fees between clubs, but actual competition for player salaries. Still, clubs owned player registrations. Even when contracts expired, clubs could demand transfer fees or simply refuse to let players leave. Until 1995. A Belgian footballer named Jean-Marc Bosman had reached the end of his contract. He wanted to move to a French club. His Belgian club demanded a transfer fee. The French club refused. Bosman couldn't move, and he couldn't play. So he sued. He took his case all the way to the European Court of Justice. And he won. The Bosman ruling changed everything. Players whose contracts expired could move freely, no transfer fee required. After 110 years, the retain and transfer system was finally dead. Power shifted from clubs to players and their agents. The modern transfer market, with all its chaos and astronomical fees, was born. From gentlemen who thought taking money was shameful, to workers fighting for fair wages, to Bosman's legal revolution, to Neymar's €222 million transfer. The history of football transfers isn't really about money. It's about power. Who has it, who wants it, and who's willing to fight for it. For over a century, clubs treated players as property. But slowly, transfer by transfer, rule change by rule change, players won their freedom. The next time you see a massive transfer fee and think football's gone mad, remember, we fought for the right to be this mad.
Follow us on TikTok and YouTube for more football contents.